Hello everyone, my name is Arlene Barcelona and today our lesson is about language and linguistics. So first we talk about language. So what is language? The language is the principal method of human communication consisting of the word used in structured and conventional way, and it conveyed by speech, writing, and gestures. So let's look about the example of language. First, standard or polite or formal language. We use the terms standard, polite, and formal to refer to language that sticks to the rules and essentially presented as a proper form of English. Next is colloquial or informal. Colloquial language is effectively anything that is not formal, often described as spoken language. And also regional dialect. Regional dialect are varieties of language that emerge based on regional specific. Use are there many examples. So within the Philippines, we have a lot of example about regional dialect. So example for that is in Iloilo, we know that they have own dialect, and that is called Ilonggo or Hiligaynon. Another is in Cebu. We know that in Cebu, they have their own dialect too, also known as Bisaya. And also, we have also a social dialect. Social dialect emerged like dialects but within a specific class or culture instead of a region. We have also a lingua franca. A lingua franca is a common language used between who speak different languages. We have also a not really common, but sometimes we use this one, not really, so that is called pidgin. A pidgin is simplified version of a lingua franca, where people trying to communicate across different languages develop their own form of communication. So I think the example for that is action language. I don't know. I'm not sure. So, but let's talk about another example. So another example for language is vernacular. Vernacular is the term used to describe language as it is used naturally by a specific people. So we have also a lingo. Lingo is a term used to refer or wording or phrasing that is specific to a cartoon group, including jargon or slang. Right? So we have also jargon. Jargon is the words and phrases that emerge to cover ideas within a specific community. Often, when specialist terminology is required, example, technical terms in the profession or sports. Slang. So we have also slang. Slang is similar to jargon. Slang is the language that emerged within subgroup to describe new ideas or to assign new words to existing ideas, to develop sense of identity. Example, the language of a younger generation. So nowadays, we have a younger generation. They have, their own language that sometimes we cannot understand. So that is the example of a slang. Let's go to linguistic. So is linguistic? Linguistic is essentially seen as relating to social and cultural studies because different languages are shaped in social interaction by the speech commonly. Example for that is phonology, social linguistic, historical linguistics, comparative linguistic, and cognitive linguistic. So, let's go to phonology. The first example of linguistic. Phonology. What is phonology? Phonology is the study of sound structures in language. For example, the phonemes. So the phonemes are study of the sounds of letter. Example for that is T. It sounds with t, t, t. And D, it sounds for d, d, d. Are pronounced in particular way by the most people who speak English. So, another example for linguistic is social linguistic. So let's go. What is social linguistic? The social linguistic is the study of the sociological aspects of language. Is the study how language serve and shape by the social nature of human beings. So, example for social linguistic is gender language differences and regional differences and how social class impact language use. Historical linguistic. What is historical linguistic? Historical linguistic is the study of the history of development of language, okay? Or the study of how language changed over time. So, also termed diachronic linguistic. Example of that is Germanic language, such as German English and Swedish and Proto-Germanic dialect and earlier Latin dialects. What is that? What is called Romance languages, such as Spanish, French, and Italian. So, let's go to the next example. Comparative linguistic. So, what is comparative linguistic? Comparative linguistic is the study of similarities and differences between languages, in particular, the comparison of related languages, with a view to reconstruction form in their lost parent languages. So, example for that is pide or food. It means in English is food. Another example is padre. It means in English is father. Pets. In English, that is called fish. So the initial sounds, although different, correspond regularly according to the pattern discovered by Jacob Grimm and named by Grimm law. Let's go to the last example. Cognitive linguistic. So what is cognitive linguistic? Cognitive linguistic is an interdisciplinary branch of linguistics, combining knowledge and research form cognitive science, cognitive psychology, neuropsychology, and linguistics. Is the science study how the brain is able to process language? So this is the example for that. An English count noun can be used in a mass noun grammatically context, as in there was a huge book there. So that is the end of our lesson 1, the example of cognitive linguistics. Let's go to the lesson 2. We talk about in lesson 2 is about theories about the nature of language. They have 2 theories of nature of language. First is behaviorist behaviorist theory. Second is innatist theory. So, both of constructing theories are influential to developmental research and inspired much research and attempt to support and disprove each theory. So, what is behaviorist theory? Behaviorist theory focuses on the idea that behaviors are learned through interaction with the environment. This learning theory states that behaviors are learned from the environment and says that innate and inherited factors have very little influence on behavior. An example of behaviorism is when teachers reward their class or certain students with a party or a good treat at the end of the week for good behavior throughout the week. The same concept is used with punishment. Okay? So, another example, another theory is innatist. Innatist theory states that learning is natural for a human being. They believe that babies enter the world with a biological propensity and inborn device to learn language. Example is, it is possible that the children have the inborn capability to follow certain acquisition of words, depend crucially on their environment. So, for this example is English children learn. English children learn English because their language acquisition, it is help for them to speak English. So, because they speak English. So that is the end of our lesson 2. So let's go to the lesson 3. So lesson 3, we talk about function of language. So the function of language include communication, the expression of identity, play, imaginative expression, and emotional release. So, according to the Roman Jacobson, defined 6 functions of language. So, the first one is the differential function. The differential function, it describes a situation, object, or mental state. It includes logical, truthful, and genuine information. The number two example, according to the Roman Jacobson, is the poetic function. The poetic function is, it lacks truthful information as used in poetry, slogans, or dreams. The number two example, according to Roman Jacobson, is the emotive function. It is very similar to express function by Lynch. So the next example is the cognitive function. It's very similar also to directive function by Lynch. So the next example is photic function. Photic function is a communication function of a language that engages multiple users in a talk. An unusual conversation between two friends during dinner or casual discussion of the weather between the two speakers are the example of the photic function of a language. The last one example is the metalingual or reflexive function. This function is the use of language to discuss linguistic color or structure of language itself. So that is the end of our lesson 3. Let's go to the last lesson for this topic. Our lesson 4 is we talk about linguistic and its branches. So we know that linguistic and its branches has 5. So the number 1 is syntax. Syntax is the property of grammar that governs sentence instruction. So the number 2 example is semantics. Semantics is the study of meaning and encoded in grammar. The number 3 is lexis. Lexis, the complete set of the word in a language. And the number 4 is morphology. Morphology is the property of a sound and a meaning dynamic in language. And number 5 is pragmatics. Pragmatics is the study of how context contributes to meaning. And that is the end of our lesson for today. Thank you for listening and watching. Bye-bye!